Hey, this is Dimitri with Joe's Gaming and Electronics, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to replace the Powerboard on a Studio 3 wireless headphones safely without causing any damages. However, if you do end up making any mistakes or you damage your headphones beyond repair, just know you are always more than welcome to send it in to us for a repair. The link will be in the description for the repair form. Anyway, the power board is located on the right side of the headphones, and we're going to go ahead and start by removing the ear pad. All the tools that you will see me use in this video will also be linked in the description below. Go ahead and remove the old adhesive off the ear cup, and for the screws we're going to use a Phillips screwdriver that is 1.5. Remove all the screws from the cup. What I like to do so that I don't lose the screws is I'll put them in the ear pad that you remove. Once all the screws are removed, you can go ahead and peel the speaker cup. When you peel the speaker cup, you're going to see that there are wires that are glued. You can simply use your solder iron to touch the glue to kind of warm it up. You don't want to touch the wires directly, but just the glue. And when it warms up, you can simply just peel up. Or you can use a heat gun, which in this case I'm going to use a heat gun because it is faster. I have it set to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. We're just going to quickly run it over the area that is glued as we pull the wires to separate the wires from the glue. You don't want to keep it on there for too long so that you don't melt the headphones itself. As you notice, all the solder points do have glue over them, so we're just going to take the solder iron and go right through the glue into the solder as we pull the wires so that they disconnect. And then solder the wires from the charger port. And what I like to do for the next, once I unsolder all the wires, is while the glue is still warm, I like to take some pliers and just clean off any of the glue so that when we're assembling the headphones back together, it's a lot easier to solder the wires back. So just remove any glue that you see. And make sure you get them off the points. You want to be really careful with this part so that you're not breaking the actual solder points. If you're having trouble, you could always heat them up a little bit with the heat gun, or use your solder iron to kind of heat up the glue so that it's a lot easier to pry off the points. But once the speaker is cleaned and removed, we're just going to place that to the side. Remove the glue off there. And next, we're going to use a flathead to peel this cover. We'll remove that cover, and next step is to remove the screw in the center cup. Once the screw is removed, you can go ahead and push the rubber gasket slightly in and peel the cup off. Once the cup is peeled, go ahead and just clean this up a little. Remove that as well. All right. Next step, to remove this panel, we have to take this tab off, and we're going to do so by using the flathead We're gonna simply go into the end like so. You don't want to push too far in, and you just pry up and it should just come off. Once that is complete, next step is we have to remove the center cap, and you want to be really careful with this because the adhesive that got placed on factory, it holds the center cap very strong and you can easily crack it. So you just go in lightly with the flathead and slowly pry up. You don't want to go too fast or too hard because you could crack the center cap. Once it gets to the point where you can use your fingers to do so, go ahead and just pull it off. Once that is complete, you got 4 screws that you got to remove. Use the Phillips plus screwdriver to remove the screws. Once the screws are removed, you can simply peel this up and push these wires in. Like so. And just simply pull the inside panel towards yourself. Once you get to this point, what I'm gonna do here, because it's gonna make this repair a lot simpler, is I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the battery and just get it out of the way. We're gonna have to unplug the battery to replace the power board regardless. Do that. Put the panel off to the side. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and remove these 2 screws on the LED strip. These little screws that hold the LED strip are also the same screws that hold or that go in where the center cap is as well. Once that is complete, we're gonna go ahead and peel that, and we're gonna take our flat head and we're gonna go underneath the power board and just pry it up. Once that is done, we're gonna go ahead and heat this area that is glued with the solder iron so that we could break the wires free. You could use a heat gun, but this panel, it does tend to melt pretty easy. So we're just gonna play it safe and use the solder iron. Once that is done, go ahead and put this panel aside. So when we get to this point, it's nice to kind of remove the tape that's holding the wires together, just so that we can kind of separate them. It's going to make things a lot easier, especially when we get to the assembly part. Once that is done, before we do any unsoldering, we're going to want to remove the battery so that we don't end up frying any other boards when we do this repair. And the battery is glued into the connection point of the power board. So what we're going to do is we're going to heat it up just a little bit with the heat gun. It doesn't take much. You don't want to hold it too close so that you don't melt the actual clip, and then you just tug it. Once you remove the battery, while the glue is still warm, go ahead and clean it up so that when we assemble it and we plug the battery back in, we don't run into any problems there. Okay. Next step is to unsolder the power board. As you can see, there is glue over the points. What you can do is you can just melt through the glue with the solder iron and remove the wires, but to do so you do have to tug on the wires a little bit. What you can also do is heat up the glue. Heat it up. You could use any pliers to kind of grab it and peel it off. This is a quicker option. And you're able to access the solder points with these and unsolder the wires from the power board. Like so. What you can do after this step is you can go ahead and, this wire is pretty tough, but what you can do is you can go ahead and heat up the glue on the charger port wire as well and remove that, as we will be needing it for the new power board. Now we do sell all these parts on our website. The link will be in the description. We do sell the charger port wires. If you're replacing the power board, we recommend that you replace this wire too. It's not necessary, but it'd be nice to do to ensure the longevity of the headphones. And we do sell the power board as well as a new Studio 3 batteries on our website as well. Links will be in the description for all those parts. Now, when we get to soldering the new power board, it's nice to have a vice grip so that you have something to hold the power board while you solder the wires onto it. You don't necessarily need it for the repair, but it does make it a lot easier if you have something that could hold the power board higher up while you try to solder the wires back on. Before we solder, I'm gonna go ahead and add some flux. Flux is gonna help bond the wires to the solder points a lot better, and it's just gonna give you that clean solder point look. And I'm just gonna go ahead and solder these wires back together. When you're soldering the wires onto the power board, it does help if you have tweezers to hold the wires in place. This will help you get a more efficient pinpoint, and it also prevents you from getting burnt. Once the wires are soldered onto the power board, go ahead and remove that. Once this step is complete, I like to prop this little pin up. This is the pin that keeps your headphones from sliding down. And next what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plug in the charger port wire like so. And we are also going to plug in the battery. Once this is complete, we're going to go ahead and grab the outside panel. We're going to remove the glue that we see. Once all the excess glue is removed, we're going to go ahead and put the power board back into the panel like so. Go ahead and put the LED strip back into place and put the screws back in. And once the screws are in, you want to make sure that this mic bit piece is plugged back in there. Next step is to put this panel back on. Always put the wire that has the microphone on it through first so that you're not fighting it if you're putting that wire through last. But go ahead and feed these wires through. And always remember to make sure that the battery does not come in the way of the wires. So I like to place the battery in last after all the wires have been pushed through the inside panel. Once we place the battery in, we're gonna go ahead and put these two panels back together. And you're just simply gonna make sure you line these points up on these rails right here. Like so. And you just slide it. Once that is complete, go ahead, extend it. And any excess wires that you see when it's extended, go ahead and pull them through so that you get the fitment in. And once that is complete, go ahead and close it, line it up, and inspect the 4 holes before putting the screws in to make sure you don't see any wires, because if you put a screw through a wire, that means we have to replace, or you have to replace, the whole main wire, which that is not a fun repair to do, and then you end up sending your headphones to us, which we are always more than happy to fix your Beats headphones for you, but it'll save you some money and a headache. So inspect all the holes, make sure there's no wires showing. Check on the outsides so that you're not pinching anything, and make sure the headphones are sliding perfectly without any issues. Once that is complete, we're gonna go ahead and put the screws back in. These are the screws that hold the 2 panels together. Once that is complete, we're gonna go ahead and put the center cap back on. The adhesive that it originally comes from factory is really strong and good, so you don't need to worry about putting new adhesive on. If you just place the cap back into place, it'll hold very well, and you just line up the divot that's in the cap with the little hole that's right there. You just line it, make sure it's sealed, secured, headphones are sliding good, and we move on to the next step, which is putting the tab back into place. So you want to make sure that you put one side in so that it's flush, and then you just go ahead and press this side. Press the side in, it clips. Like so. Test the sliding function. Everything is working pretty good. Next is we put this cup back on. So again, feed the wire that has the microphone on first. And once you do that, just follow the steps with the other wires as well. If you notice, the panel has this rubber gasket. You want to make sure that all these little points on the gasket line up with the panel. So you just kind of work it a little until you get them all lined up. Sometimes it'll pop through like that, that's not an issue. You just slightly readjust it, make sure they're all lined up, and then next what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and put that center screw back into place. Once that is complete, we got to make sure that we pull the rubber gaskets through so that you have that flush, clean look. And what we're going to do is we're going to use some pliers to kind of hook it and just pull it through. And if you're not able to hook it, we recommend using a pry tool as well. It is really helpful. What you can do with the pry tool is you can just simply push down on the edge of the gasket, going all the way around in a circle. Sometimes you could get lucky and you don't need to pull it through on the other side because all the points just kind of go through, but it's still good to go in, give it a quick tug to make sure that it is all pulled through. Like so, and it should sit flush like that. Alrighty. Next step is we're going to solder the speaker and the charger port back. I'm going to go ahead and add some flux onto the solder points. Sometimes what I like to do after I add the flux is run the solder iron through the points to kind of clean them up, and that's going to make it a lot easier to solder. First, we're going to go ahead and solder the speaker wire back. And it doesn't matter what order you go. You could do the speaker wire first or the charger port first. I just prefer to do the speaker wire first because it kind of cleans it up and gets wires out of the way. Once that is complete, I'm going to go ahead and plug this mic bit back in. And then we're going to proceed with soldering the charger port wire. I'm also sure that we could link the schematics to the wires and the description as well. Once all the soldering is complete, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use the tweezers to place the first 3 wires into the little pocket right there, and then these last 2 into the pocket right there. Once that is complete, we're gonna grab this little rubber gasket for the charger port, place it into place, and you want to go ahead and place the wires in between these 2 gaskets. We're not going to worry about this. We just want to make sure they're in between these 2. Once that is complete, tuck it in like that and go ahead and place it back together like so. Once you do that, do inspect all the edges to make sure that there's no wires pinched. And as always, check the holes where the screws go to make sure that there is no wire in the way, to avoid putting a screw through a wire. Once that is complete, last step is to put the ear pad back on. I'm gonna go ahead and use this adhesive tape. We do sell this on our website as well, and we will put the link in the description below as well. With this one, you just wanna line the tape up with all the holes. Once that is complete, we are simply going to remove the top film to get to the adhesive. And place the ear cup on. And that is how you do the Powerboard repair on a Studio 3 wireless headphones.